Hi there, and welcome to Life Sessions. My name is Pastor Stephanie Scragg. I am your host today here at Expression Church, 115 Cheshire Way in Huntington, West Virginia, right here in the good old United States. I'm so glad to be here with you today. In the studio with me are two of my favorite people, and I don't say that just because the camera's rolling and you all are listening. These are two of my favorite people and have become very quickly two of my favorite friends. This is Jonathan and Catherine Cox. It is so good to have you guys here today.
Great to be here.
Oh, we're gonna have fun today. They are two of my dear friends, but they are also two of the most creative people I think I've ever met. They both have had many different things, works of art. And when I say creative, I'm not just talking about one specific area. It's in many different ways. Miss Catherine is an incredible artist. Specifically, why don't you tell a little bit more about what it is that you specifically do? Because I'm going to say pencil drawing. It's more than that.
Well, it is pencil drawing.
Yes.
I consider myself a devotee of the lowly pencil. But I like to draw. I like the quiet intimacy and the meditative aspect of drawing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when you say pencil drawing, it is not your average just a sketch. It is something absolutely incredible. You can see a lot of your art. You've been displayed in a lot of different museums. A lot of curators I know your name and know who you are. But I want to encourage you, if you ever get a chance, go on Instagram, Catherine Cox. Look up all of the different things that she puts out there. It's incredible. And then also Mr. Sculpture. I think what is so funny is how God put together you two. Just
Definitely.
Two amazing creators. Tell a little bit about what it is that you do.
Well, I'm a builder. I'm a sculptor, and I really enjoy especially making public art. I like creating larger works that are in the public domain and just accessible to all the people that live there, work there, or walk by.
And you use all kinds of, both of you all, the different mediums as far as you'll do different colors and textures and all these different things. And then you yourself, I know, what is it that you enjoy working with the most as far as mediums go?
I would say wood. I like working with wood a lot, and that's partly because that's what I started with and grew up with. I built boats with my father as a child, and so I learned how to work with wood very early. I think I had my first toolbox when I was 4.
Nice.
So I like wood, but I also like stone, and especially stone and stainless steel for outdoor works.
Wow.
Very durable, very beautiful.
Oh, I'm always amazed at the things that you guys create and that are in here and in here. And then you guys have that ability to bring it to pass. Because what is it? Not all creative people are creators. But most of the time, most creators are very creative. There is a difference because you can be very creative, but if you can't put that thing to use and it actually come out, nobody ever really knows what God's placed in there. Tell a little about yourselves, though, because I know you guys are both, you originally didn't come from Huntington, West Virginia. Start with yourself. Where did you originally grow up, and kind of how did God bring you to Huntington?
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, in the northeast part of the country. I was one of 4 kids, and a little different from my siblings because I was an artist. I had artist sensibilities and a hunger. I really had a spiritual hunger.
Yeah.
Jonathan and I have been married for almost 45 years. We have 2 daughters.
Wow.
And we ended up here in Huntington because Jonathan got a job here at Marshall University. So here we are.
And 2 amazing, beautiful daughters and a beautiful little grandboy. A beautiful little grandboy. So now, how did you end up in Huntington?
Well, I grew up in Florida. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was the first person in my family to go to college. So I went to University of Florida for my bachelor's studies and then on to Rhode Island School of Design for my master's work, which is where Catherine and I met. We were both in school there. And as Catherine mentioned, I applied for a series of teaching positions, tenure track professor positions in numerous areas of the country, but this was the best fit for us, and this is where we came.
It's incredible. When I met you both the very first time, you both, I know you still are the sculpture professor at Marshall University. You were working with the Huntington Museum of Art. So I meet you both. And what I think is amazing, and this is actually part of our topic that we're talking about today, is transitions and new seasons. I've had the privilege of getting, and this is how my life has always worked, is the Lord brings people in and out of my life that I instantly get to learn from, and I get to watch and get to walk with them through many different seasons. And I hope and pray that God has brought me into people's life that I can help do the same. So you both, though, are now in that season now of you recently have retired. And how does that feel?
Well, I retired a year and a half ago, and it was very abrupt. I thought I'd have a couple more years of working. So it was a little bit of a shock in a way, but because I'm an artist, I immediately could pour myself into making art. I didn't have to think about getting up and going to work and answering to somebody else all the time.
Yeah.
That being said, I had no problem with being busy and being gratified and happy, but it still is a change. It's a huge, huge change. I consider myself fortunate that I did have something to, sink myself into, but it's still a change in your head and in your heart. But it's really cool.
Yeah, because I remember the first couple of weeks that you were retired, you're like, I get to be in my studio.
Yeah.
I get to draw.
Yeah.
And I thought was so funny. And this was the dichotomy, though, is you looked like a bird out of a cage because it was like, this is amazing. There's freedom. Then I would see you, and you're still having to go to work, which I know you enjoy that.
I do.
But at the same token, I'm kind of laughing at you both because I'm seeing this little tension here of like, yeah, she gets to do art all the time now. That's what she gets to do.
Yeah.
And then your job is art, but yet there's a lot of administrative pieces to it that you both are excellent in. That's the other thing I was meaning earlier by you're not just creative with what you do with your hands, your minds are incredible. Just how you guys formulate things, and you serve in the church so many different capacities. But I remember watching you are on the cusp of retirement.
I am.
How's that feel?
It feels awkward, but very, very exciting. I've been planning this for a while, and my studio, I need a studio. I need essentially a mini factory to build the work that I want to make. So I began last summer building my own studio. So it is probably 90% finished, and I intend to move into that within a month. So it's about 2,000 square feet and 20-foot ceilings at the center. And it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful workspace.
As a builder, always a builder.
Let me just add that there's a few things that he does talk about at the end of the workday that can't really be repeated in his anticipation of retiring.
I think it's awesome because I know what God's leading you both into, specifically within the church realm. But I know there might be people out there listening that maybe you're in a position where you're not able to retire yet. Or I know there are some people, even close friends of mine, who they would like to, but they're not in a place where they can. Then there's a few that's abruptly it's come on them, and they're like, well, what do I do now? And it's kind of a moment. You two have always amazed me how you both embraced it, and there's never a moment of, well, what do we do now? It has been a 100-mile-an-hour sprint of here's what we're doing. I'm creating and doing those things. One of my questions to you guys, though, is what are the challenges? And this is kind of specifically with you because you're not there yet. Mm-hmm. But what have been some of the challenges, though, that maybe you didn't think of before the retirement actually came?
Well, this is going to sound boring, but you do have to think about money. Mm-hmm. As much as you're able to kind of be informed about, what your income will be and, get advice, get counsel, get help, and kind of line that up the best you can, because that can be a really serious, big unknown. And it's important. It's really important because it allows you to be peaceful, if you've got that figured out. And there's times when, you can feel a little bit lost because you've got this giant, openness that you have never had, maybe, where you can make all your own decisions. But, oh my gosh, what are they? Which way do I go? What do I do? So I mean, I think I would encourage people to be really easy on yourself, while you're learning this new life and exploring, and let yourself feel a little lost if you feel a little lost. Let yourself experience that and feel it and find your way, because it's super important that you allow yourself to find your way.
Oh, yeah. And especially with our westernized culture, there is a little bit of pressure to kind of know what you're doing at all times. And that's a good thing at times. I mean, the Bible talks about the things that we do. There's times and seasons and purposes. But I love what you just said of be easy on yourself. Let yourself have that moment of discovery, trying to find, because that's the cool thing is we're constantly, the Bible talks about we change from glory to glory to strength to strength. It's new. Everything's different and new. What are some of the things, so those are the challenges, but what are some of the things that you have found have been the greatest benefits of now this time?
Well, you can do whatever you want.
That's the best part.
Which is, can be hard or wonderful. It's both exciting and scary, but you're your own boss. I mean, all those years of working, you are answering to somebody else. You are reporting to work on time. You are accountable for your actions. And now you're reporting to yourself, and you're accountable to yourself for your actions. And it's a huge vista of delight to have your own life and be able to make your own choices and do what you want to do with your time. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love these moments that we're getting to talk about this stuff, because I love it. You can do whatever you want. That's awesome. That's what we're all working hard for. But we'll be right back. We're going to take a little break. Very quickly, though, I want to tell you about a couple of things. Make sure that you become a part of this conversation. Visit expchurch.org. You can visit all of our resources are downloadable. You can check out these shows. Then also visit kevinwest.org. That's our senior pastor. He's got a great book out called Angel in Aisle 3. Another great resource for you is our free app. It's awesome. You go on there, you can see our services from right here at 115 Cheshire Way. You can see all of our services and everything that's going on in each ministry. Also, if you're local, come be a part of us at 11 a.m. on Sundays, 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. We'd love to have you be a part of that. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we want you to be a part of that. Well, wherever you are in the world today, we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. There's so many people out there that are in transition, new seasons. We're going to talk more about that right here on Life Sessions. So keep it right here, keep it tuned in, and we will see you here in just a moment. We hope that today's ministry has been a blessing to you so far. I speak on behalf of Pastor Kevin West and Expression Church when I say it's an honor and a privilege to get to minister all across the world. The only way that we can reach the world is through people helping financially sowing into the ministry. People just like yourself who have been blessed and are truly feeding from this ministry. So if you feel like that's you today and you'd like to join in and begin to sow so that the message of the kingdom of God can spread into all areas of the nations, I encourage you today, visit expchurch.org, click on the word give, or you can also text give by sending a message to the number 84321 and the text giving amount. We hope again that you have been blessed by this ministry and that you will experience the expression of Jesus Christ in your everyday real life. Hi there, and welcome back to Life Sessions. I'm your host, Pastor Stephanie Scragg. With me today, Jonathan and Catherine Cox. It's such a pleasure to have you guys here. We're talking about transitions, new seasons, lots of cool stuff. We just talked a little bit about retirement, and here, this is one of the things I'm very thankful for in this season of life is that Miss Catherine has had the opportunity to retire and learning a lot of different things in that. Jonathan's not quite there yet, but coming up on it abruptly. Very soon it's coming. We see it it's a light at the end of the tunnel that's not a train. But just the things that you share earlier in the show is just absolutely incredible about how God's leading you through those things. I want to talk a little bit about that, not so much just in the retirement, but also doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter what season of life you're in. We all go through transitions. And these are moments where life changes. Life takes a different road than you thought. It might be a road that you didn't choose, that you had no ability to choose that. But the one thing that we know is that God's there every single time, whether we believe it or not. He's right there in the middle of it to help us as we walk through it. I would love to know this from both of you in your own life, because you guys have lived enough life to know what transitions look like across the board. What are some of the things that you've felt that God has really showed you in these moments, specifically in transition? What are some things that maybe caught you completely off guard, or maybe some of the greatest life lessons you've ever learned? Either one of you on that one.
Well, some things, as you mentioned, are unexpected. And some of the things that come your way in life are challenging. Some of them are amazing and wonderful, but still unexpected. So, as you also mentioned, the constancy of God through all of it is an amazing thing, because He's not caught unaware at any turn. He knows what's going on. So I think our connectedness and relationship with Him provides an amazing stabilization.
Oh, yeah. How do you, and either one of you for this one, because I know I've had transitions in my, I'll be real transparent. I've had transitions in my life that were not of my doing. And there does have a tendency for me to almost harbor a little bit of bitterness of, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this to happen to take me into this place. How do you walk through that and keep the grace-filled attitude that we're supposed to have as good church-going people, but yet at the same time, you're looking at God going, God, I didn't ask for this. I wanted this, but now I've got this, and that this is not how I wanted it to happen. How do you get through stuff like that? Either one, volleying that one up.
It's a big question.
I know.
Let me think. I just think in any situation, having that close relationship with Him is it.
Yeah.
Because situations vary, experiences vary. Some are amazing, like Jonathan said. Some are hard. And the closeness you have with God, talking with Him, pleading with Him at times. We don't have to plead, but sometimes I find myself pleading.
Yeah.
You know, and just like pouring out your heart to Him, you know, and having that ongoing conversation with Him, needing His help, you know, and calling on Him. And I mean, that's just kind of the bottom line of getting through about anything, is having that close relationship with Him, you know, the prayer life.
Yeah.
You know.
And the beauty of what we have now, and that's the thing, there might be many listeners out there, we have Scripture, we have those things that He speaks to us through His Word. In the Old Testament, we see how He spoke. This was always amazing to me, is whenever He looked at Abraham, and He said, I need you to leave your mom and dad and leave your country and go to a place, and I'll show you where it is. He gave him no instruction. It was like,
no roadmap.
You're just going to go, but I need you to leave it all, and I just need you to go. And these guys did not have what we have today, and we have Scripture that I'll never leave thee nor for. They didn't have that. They had that relationship of pleading, of, okay, God, I'm going, but you're going to have to go with me. You're going to have to show me. You're going to have to. That's a hard place to be in, to whenever you're fully relying on Him in the midst of transition.
I think, too, a big part of that relationship with God is the relationship that you have with the members of your fellowship or group or your church, and especially the leadership in the church also. Because sometimes you find yourself at a point where you really aren't sure what to do or where to turn, but you can always ask God, who do I talk to? Who can help me see this more clearly, more objectively, more spiritually? So I think availing yourself of genuinely wise counsel, people who are spiritually based and sound in their judgment, wise counsel is invaluable.
Oh, yeah, I'm thankful to be surrounded by. I consider you all as part of that council. I'm very, very thankful for you all, because even I bring this up. A few years ago, my grandfather passed away. Huge transition for our whole family. My grandmother, who they had been married for 50-something plus years, and she came up here in a place and in a time of a lot of transition, didn't know up or down, just in a really dark place because she just didn't know what to do. Here was life now, and it's different. And I'll never forget, she was in my living room, and she got a text message, and it was from you, and you wanted to go get lunch with her. And I've always been so grateful for that, because that brightened her up instantly. That's whenever God surrounds you with people to be able to reach out, because there might be people out there listening that, and it doesn't just have to be through death or even retirement or those things, but you might be going through a transition. There might be people out there you might be going through a divorce. You might be going through having to move into a new city. You might have lost a job, and you're trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do now? What would be some of those things? Because you've already said a few of those things already, but what would you minister to someone that's in those situations? Outside of what you already have.
Right. I don't know.
I would just encourage people to stay steady, and as steady as possible. I mean, you might be in the midst of a lot of emotionalism with some of these things that come on you suddenly, or things that come up really abruptly. I know as a young man, I lost my father at a very early age, and it was very difficult. But you just stay steady and keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Avail yourself of the wise counsel, the spiritual guidance and insight, and let people that love you help you through it.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, that's so quintessential for any transition of life. I love that. Be steady, plead to God, keep that relationship first and foremost. What it is that it really is about is that He leads us, He guides us.
Right.
How now? I'm going to ask you this because I didn't prepare y'all for this, but your parents, your grandparents, and how do you, with your own children, watching them go through transition of life, how is that? Because it's one of those things, we have an old saying here, what's good for the goose is not always good for the gander.
Right.
It's that thing of, in your own personal life, you know how to handle those things, but as parents, when you see your family, I know my mom and dad, when I moved 7 hours away, that was hard. But how do you as parents help your children now as they go through life transitions and changes and decision making and those things? How has that affected your parenting as well as loving on them through those things?
Well, it's amazing being a parent, and as your children age and grow, it doesn't get really easier. Their needs become huger than when they're little kids and they're hungry or whatever. But staying connected with them and reinforcing them and building them up and encouraging them is just so important. And texting is a great tool for that, because you can be in constant contact with them without hovering. You can be supportive. I don't know. It's just constant encouragement.
Yeah.
But, reminding them of who they are,
Yeah.
what they can do, that they can win, that they can be great.
That they are great.
That they are great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of exciting, but it's hard. It's hard watching your kids go through stuff. Really hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We have 2 daughters, and we have raised 2 strong-willed, beautiful women. So they're stellar human beings, amazing young women. And one of my primary desires is to always empower them, to continue to support their strength and to empower them in any way that I can.
It's so thankful for that too, because I know I've been blessed with really good parents that very similar. That thing of, and I love that. Every so often, my dad will just send me a text. I'm proud of you. I love you. My mom, what are you doing? Now, my mom is more frequent because we are very much a joined at the hip. Hey, what's going on today? And I get the most random texts, but they're so precious. And it is that empowering. It's that. And it does. As a kid, I want to thank you all for doing that, because as a kid, there's something just so anchoring about that whenever you have that in your life. I want to ask you this, because I know we've kind of been across the board and talking about transitions and all those things, but I want to ask you something. What is something really big now that you're in this new season, you're in this new place, you're getting ready to walk into even bigger things? We're actually, you guys are getting ready to launch into ministry even at a deeper realm as well in seniors ministry. But what are some things, not just in ministry, but what is something big, quote unquote big, that you guys want to do individually, collectively, whatever it is?
Well, I just had an idea a couple days ago. I do these large drawings, and they're large. They take about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks to complete one drawing. And I thought, well, I'm 69. I might live. Let's say I did 5 or 6 drawings a year for the next 10 years. It's like whatever that is, 50 drawings, 60 drawings. What if every single one of those drawings was a prayer?
Oh, wow.
I thought that would be really cool.
That is incredibly cool.
So I thought that's really neat. And, so anyway, that's just an idea that I just had. It's a prayer. And not only the finished drawing itself is a prayer, but the act of doing it is prayerful. So I'm really excited about that right now.
Oh, my gosh. That's like here I'm like, this isn't I want to go here. No, I want to. And that's the cool thing about your drawings is to see them. You find yourself just enveloped in them, and it's just this rhythmic thing. And they look like they're coming off the page. I can't imagine every one of them being a prayer. Oh, you're gonna have to be one of those artists that has the plaque beside it telling about the prayer that went along with that. Oh, that's gonna be good. What are you? Top that.
Not sure I can. I'm just excited to, as you mentioned, launch more deeply into ministry in the church. But also, I'm looking forward to a more solitary practice of my visual art and just creating works that are really beautiful, really edifying, and works that find themselves in critical places. Like, I'm not going to have to have a lapse or worry about what to do or what to start on next. I mean, I'm already essentially booked for the next calendar year with sculpture commissions, so I have plenty to do. I have everything. My plate is full already. But to just, as Catherine mentioned, have that ongoing fellowship with God as you work, and have His input and the input of wonderful people around you as you create the work is amazing, wonderful. And teaching has been a great career. I've really enjoyed it. Some of the tedium about it I won't miss at all. But I do have a kind of a reservoir of experiences with my students that's really rich and really wonderful.
I think that's one of the neat things that has kept you both just in the flow of things is you both have surrounded yourselves, whether you kind of know this inadvertently or not, you've both surrounded yourself with youth and with people, with creators. Because what's funny is obviously you being a professor and then you taught for so much, but this is what's funny to me is then you come to serve in the church, and it was as our children's education coordinator. It was like, boom, educate. And I love how you said a more solitary practice. That's so well said. But I am excited to get to now be a part of those things, of getting to watch all this kind of stuff come together, and just, it's incredible. And what you guys are leaving, you're leaving a trail everywhere you go of just such blessing, creativity, motivation. That's just incredible. I want to thank you guys for being here today.
My pleasure.
We'll do this again. There's just so many cool things that I know we left out today because I know you all, and it's one of those things for our audience also to get to know you as well. There's so many cool things that we'll talk about next time. I want to thank you all for watching, for joining us today. If you're ever in the area here in Huntington, stop by at 115 Cheshire Way here at Expression Church, Sundays at 11 a.m., Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Come visit us. If you can't be here in body, if you want to see our services, get our free app on your phone from the iTunes Store as well as Google Play. And completely free, you can check this out. Then also visit our website, expchurch.org, and visit Pastor Kevin's website, kevinwest.org. Pick up his new book, Angel in Aisle 3. And then also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where many of these shows are going to be airing from, that you can be a part of this. And I want to encourage you, be a part of a conversation. get involved in a local body somewhere. But today, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you all next time on Life Sessions.